The event occurred precisely 23 minutes into an occasion Adam Schiff felt sure would become his political legacy's peak. He had entered the East Room of the White House thinking of himself as the predator, a high prosecutor finally trapping his target. For 8 long years, he had constructed this storyline, molding a character of a serious intelligence authority, a figure weighed down by grim truths he could not reveal but had to signal. He believed this media gathering was his moment of triumph. He was completely unaware that he was positioned directly atop a snare. The arrangement was entirely novel. The White House had framed it as a summit for transparency, a head-on engagement to heal the remaining scars of the Russia inquiry. President Trump had summoned his harshest detractors to the very first row, granting them the initial opportunity to speak. The press corps erupted into wild excitement. CNN dubbed the event the ultimate battle, while MSNBC broadcast a ticking timer on their screen. The mood within the East Room was charged, thick with the respiration of 300 journalists squeezed tightly together. Cameras were aimed at the stage like precision weapons. Adam Schiff was seated in the primary row straightening his sleeves. A notebook rested on his leg, brimming with inquiries crafted to be impossible to resolve. He had practiced the rhythm of his speech to sound strict, let down, and commanding. He intended to query the Trump Tower gathering, ask about Manafort, and address the infinite smoke he had spent almost 10 years claiming was evidence of flames. He glanced about the chamber, signaling to friends among the reporters. He felt completely untouchable. At exactly 2 in the afternoon, Donald Trump arrived. He did not march in with his typical loud campaign vigor. No music blared from the audio system. He entered deliberately, holding a heavy black folder beneath his limb. He appeared serene, essentially perilously composed. He set the folder on the stand, fixed the audio device, and stared right at Adam Schiff. "Thank you everyone for attending," Trump stated with a steady tone. "For 8 years, this nation has been ripped asunder by a falsehood. It was a fabrication repeated constantly by individuals who understood the truth. These were people who concealed themselves behind security access and secret meetings to mislead the American populace." Schiff went rigid. He anticipated an assault, yet this sensation was unique. It was not a slur, but rather an introduction. "Today," Trump went on, "I am revealing the reality in full. Every single briefing, every note, and every spy review that was concealed from you is being released." He grabbed a handheld controller. "Senator Schiff," Trump remarked, "you possess the opening query, so please proceed." Schiff rose to his feet. He accepted the microphone. He sensed the burden of the historical moment. "Mr. President," he started, his vocals carrying strongly, "for years there have been recorded interactions between your team and Russian agents. The citizens of America merit understanding why you have routinely attempted to hide the details of these connections. They also need to know why you disregarded the spy agency's cautions regarding potential threats. It was a flawless inquiry. It presumed culpability and appeared grave." "Excellent question," Trump replied. He did not dodge the issue. He did not assault Schiff's personality. He merely pushed a key on the controller. Behind him, 2 giant digital displays sparked into action. A file became visible. It was not a social media post or a political image. It was a formal state record, marked as top secret with restriction codes at the header. A thick crimson bar was slashed across it, alongside a fresh mark indicating declassification on January 15, 2025. "This item," Trump declared while gesturing to the display, "is the formal record of the Gang of 8 meeting from March 15, 2017. That group comprises the chiefs of both parties and the intelligence panels. You were present, Adam. We can view your autograph on the register." The words on the monitor were enlarged. They were sharp, administrative, and irrefutable. The subject line read, "FBI Counterintelligence Review Concerning the Trump Team and Russia." The date was March 15, 2017. The findings stated the agency had examined numerous interactions. Detectives had discovered no proof of organization, plotting, or cooperation between the Trump team and the Russian state. The inquiry persists, but no reliable data backs the theory of cooperation. The phrase regarding no evidence was illuminated in amber. March 15, 2017, Trump recited loudly, "You were seated in a guarded chamber. The FBI stared you in the face. They informed you clearly that they had located no proof of cooperation." Trump gazed down toward Schiff, who remained upright. The microphone dangled limply in his grasp. "You listened to that?" Trump asked. "You autographed the document admitting you heard it." That day was a Wednesday. Trump pressed the controller once more. "Now," Trump stated, "let us observe your actions on Thursday." Schiff's pulse pounded against his chest bones. He understood what was approaching. He recalled the discussion. He recalled the sensation of authority he possessed when he provided it. It was the rush of being the individual who understood the mysteries. Yet staring at the file on the display, the frigid, solid evidence of what he was truly told, he recognized with a nauseating drop that the situation had shifted. He was no longer the protagonist of the tale. He was the antagonist, and 78 million viewers were witnessing the alteration occur live. The oxygen in the East Room appeared to disappear, drawn out by the shared intake of breath from the media group. On the monitor, the secret meeting record from March 15, 2017, stayed static. The phrase "no evidence" hung there like a judgment. Adam Schiff remained paralyzed in the initial row. He was caught in the brightness of the lamps. His brain sprinted to locate an escape route that was not there. Donald Trump did not offer him a moment to suspire. He hit the key on the controller once more. The display divided. On the left side stayed the FBI report file. On the right side, a clip player materialized. "This is the immediate following day," Trump described, his tone surgically removed. It was March 16, 2017. Less than 1 day after you exited that guarded meeting space, you appeared on Meet the Press alongside Chuck Todd. The footage ran. The sound was pristine, thundering through the premium speakers of the East Room. There sat Adam Schiff, more youthful and keen, leaning toward the lens with that known look of serious national worry. "Chuck," the video version of Schiff stated, "I cannot delve into details due to the secrecy level. However, I can inform you that I have viewed more than incidental proof of conspiracy. There exists explicit proof of dishonesty. There is also proof of a connection that is profoundly worrying." Trump halted the clip. The visage of Adam Schiff on the monitor was stuck mid-phrase. He looked morally superior and confident. Trump pivoted to the actual Adam Schiff, who was positioned 10 feet distant, appearing like a phantom. "More than incidental proof," Trump said again. "That is what you announced to the nation. That is what you announced to the globe." He gestured to the record on the left side. "Yet the FBI informed you 1 day prior that no proof existed." "So," Trump inquired, bending over the stand with his gaze fixing on Schiff, "I possess a basic query, a yes or no inquiry. Were you deceiving the FBI during the meeting, or were you deceiving Chuck Todd on the broadcast?" The quiet that ensued was massive enough to fracture skeletons. This was not a policy argument where one could shift to general topics or national safety worries. This was a dual snare. two opposing truths were shown next to each other. One of those items had to be a falsehood. Schiff lifted the audio device. His palm was shaking, a slight tremor, but observable to all in the chamber. "Mr. President," Schiff uttered, his tone reaching for command, but emerging weak. "You are selecting a lone early review from the beginning phases of an inquiry. As you are aware, data develops. There were interactions." "Halt," Trump ordered. It was not a yell, but a crack of a lash. "Do not utilize the term developed. The FBI stated no proof. You stated explicit proof. That is not development, Adam. That is invention." "You stared the American citizens in the face," Trump went on, his volume increasing in power. "You utilized your rank on the intelligence panel to peddle a falsehood. You informed them to believe you because you had viewed the hidden files. You understood they could not view the files. You wagered your whole profession on the certainty that these records would remain hidden always." Trump motioned to the display. "Well, they are not secret any longer. The barrier has vanished." "You frightened the nation," Trump stated. "You told grandmothers in Ohio that their leader was a Russian spy. You told troops that their head commander was a defector. You caused millions of individuals to lose belief in their state. And you performed this," Trump said while indicating the date on the file, realizing it was untrue. "You exited that safe chamber. You applied your cosmetic powder. You sat in that seat, and you deceived." Schiff attempted to cut in once more, stating, "The Mueller findings later discovered numerous examples of things." "The Mueller findings discovered no plot," Trump bellowed, striking his palm on the stand. "Just as the FBI informed you in 2017, just as the CIA informed you, just as everybody informed you." Trump inhaled, steadying himself. He gazed out at the media group, who were typing madly, their visages illuminated by the shine of the condemning displays. "But it was not merely one time, was it?" Trump asked quietly. "If it was simply a single error, perhaps we could pardon it. Perhaps you heard incorrectly. Perhaps you were bewildered." He pressed the controller. The image altered. Now a chronology materialized. It reached across the huge screen. It was a flat line, tagged with calendar days. Over the line were scarlet points signifying intelligence meetings. Under the line were azure points signifying Schiff's broadcast spots. "We verified the logs," Trump stated. "We paired every single instance you entered the Schiff, the sensitive compartmented information facility, with every instance you appeared on broadcasts." May 2017, Trump read out. "The report states no alterations to the review. You appear on CNN stating proof is lurking in open view." July 2017, Trump continued, "The report states the Steele dossier is unconfirmed and probably invented. You appear on MSNBC stating the dossier is turning out to be correct." "It is a routine, Adam," Trump said. "It is not an error. It is a tactic." Schiff remained there, the audio device feeling like a chunk of heavy metal in his grasp. He understood with a frightening sharpness that Trump was not merely arguing with him. He was deconstructing him. He was seizing the sole item Schiff had forever depended upon, his trustworthiness as a knowing participant, and twisting it into proof of a scam. "You were not a detective," Trump stated, viewing him with an emotion nearing sorrow. "You were a script author. You were composing an espionage book for CNN. You utilized the emblem of the United States Congress to market it. However, the novel is finished," Trump declared. "We are currently arriving at the story turn. Because deceiving people regarding the meetings was not sufficient for you, was it? You were required to leak them as well. A fresh file materialized on the display. It was a call register. Schiff's gut plummeted. He recognized those digits. He recognized those calendar days. The snare had not simply triggered. It was tightening about his throat. The call register on the display was damaging. But Donald Trump was not prepared to discuss leaks just yet. He desired to complete the examination of the falsehood first. He wished for the crowd to comprehend the absolute magnitude of the fraud. "A single lie is an error," Trump stated, hitting the controller to wipe the lone file. "Two lies is a chance occurrence." But what Adam Schiff performed, that was a business. The display behind Trump changed. The still files were vanished. In their stead, a moving, scrolling image appeared. It resembled a market ticker, but replacing values, it displayed dates, channel symbols, and citations. "My team conducted a small assignment," Trump said, motioning to the barrier of information. "We looked backward through the previous 8 years. We located every single instance you appeared on broadcasts. This included CNN, MSNBC, Sunday programs, and late evening programs where you asserted you had viewed proof of plotting." He stopped, allowing the chronology to roll. It was infinite. "We tallied 227 instances," Trump stated. He allowed the figure to suspend there. 227 times you gazed into a lens. You gazed at the American populace, and you uttered some version of "the proof is in open view," or "I have viewed explicit proof," or "the evidence is crushing." Trump hit a key. Let us view the compilation tape. A film started to run. It was a rapid edit crafted for highest effect. It cut to Schiff on CNN saying, "I have seen explicit proof." It cut to Schiff on MSNBC saying, "more than incidental." It cut to Schiff on The View saying, "sufficient proof of plotting." It cut to Schiff on ABC saying, "proof that is not incidental." The snippets arrived quicker and quicker. Schiff was in an azure necktie. Schiff was in a crimson necktie. Schiff was in a corridor. Schiff was in a broadcast room. The setting altered and the questioner altered. However, the phrase never did. It was a rhythmic pulse of fraud. Proof, proof, proof. In the angle of the display, a number tally clicked upward with every snippet. 47, 89, 143, 192. Adam Schiff remained in the front area. He was compelled to view a collection of his own deceit. It was painful. The total impact was ruinous. Viewed singly over 8 years, the spots appeared commanding. Viewed altogether consecutively, they resembled the rantings of a swindler attempting to vend a monorail. The tally reached 227. The display paused on a zoom of Schiff's visage appearing especially arrogant. Trump pivoted back to the actual Schiff, whose countenance was presently emptied of all pigment. 227 times. Trump stated quietly. And we verified the meeting registers for every single one of those days. He indicated the screen. Every single meeting stated no. There was never an instant, not one, where the FBI or the CIA informed you they had located a plot. Not in 2017, not in 2018, not in 2019. Therefore, Senator, Trump inquired, what proof were you discussing? Was it unseen? Was it fictional? Or was it merely a screenplay you composed to get scheduled on Rachel Maddow? Schiff cleared his airway. He attempted to gather the outrage that had aided him so well for so long. Mr. President, the intelligence landscape is complicated. There were interactions that invoked serious counter-spy worries. Even if they did not satisfy the judicial bar of felonious plotting, I was addressing the danger to national safety. You stated collusion. Trump's vocals thundered, slicing through the deflection. You did not state counter-spy worries. You stated you possessed proof of a felony. You stated I was a turncoat. That is not developing intelligence, Senator, Trump stated, his tone falling to a glacial quiet. That is organized deceit. You constructed a profession on a ghost, Trump stated. You became a celebrity. You collected millions of dollars. You obtained publishing contracts, all because you asserted to possess a mystery that was not real. The chamber was mute. The journalists, many of whom had scheduled Schiff for those exact spots, stared down at their tablets. They were components of the compilation as well, and they realized it. But deceiving on broadcasts is one matter, Trump said, returning to the stand. That is merely politics, filthy politics, but still politics. What you performed subsequently, Trump stated, reaching for the controller, that is a felony. The chronology of TV spots disappeared. The monitor went dark for a moment, clearing the slate before a fresh picture emerged. This item was not a roster or a film. It was a mesh. A complicated web chart illuminated the display. In the middle was a photo of Adam Schiff. Extending out from him were strokes linking to symbols of large news corporations. These included the New York Times, the Washington Post, and CNN. Let us discuss the unauthorized releases, Trump stated. You see, Adam, when secret data lands on the cover of the New York Times, the FBI becomes agitated. They inquire. They trace who possessed the data, and they trace who spoke to the journalists. Trump pointed to the monitor. These are telephone logs, Trump stated. They are FBI counter-leak inquiry dossiers revealed today. He focused in on a particular area of the mesh. December 12, 2016, Trump read out. At 4:47 in the afternoon, a call is made from your private mobile to a creator at CNN. The conversation endures for 15 minutes. December 13, 2016, Trump continued. The very following morning, CNN reveals a report. It says intelligence heads provided Trump with assertions of Russian blackmail. The article quotes sources aware of the meeting. Trump gazed at Schiff. You were the origin, Adam. He shifted to the subsequent data mark. December 18, 2016, at 3:22 in the afternoon. A call from your bureau line to Adam Goldman at the New York Times, 23 minutes. December 20, 2016. The Times prints an article stating British spies shared proof with U.S. authorities. It quotes congressional sources. It is a flawless rhythm, Trump stated. Call, article, call, article. 43 times. You did not simply deceive about the meetings, Trump said, walking to the lip of the platform. You released them. You took secret data, mysteries you pledged a vow to guard. You gave them to your pals in the press to damage me. And then, Trump added with a grim laugh, you would appear on broadcasts the following day. You would say, I cannot remark on secret issues, but this report is very worrying. You were validating your personal release. Schiff moved ahead, his tone edgier now. Mr. President, these are portrayals. You are making assumptions from normal exchanges with the media. Members of Congress talk to journalists daily. That is a component of our supervision obligation. Supervision, Trump barked. Releasing secret intelligence regarding a serving president is not supervision. It is a crime. You militarized your security access, Trump stated. You utilized the mysteries of the United States government as political bullets. You understood the FBI inquiry was discovering zero. So you leaked incomplete deceptive fragments to the media to maintain the storyline. That is not supervision, Senator, Trump stated. That is indoctrination. He pointed to a specific thread on the graph. Observe this instance. January 10, 2017. You phoned David Ignatius at the Washington Post. 1 hour afterward, he prints the article regarding Mike Flynn's conversations. A criminal release. A human's existence destroyed. And you were on the line with the journalist immediately before it released. Did you inform him? Trump asked. Did you violate the statute to obtain a banner? Schiff did not reply. He was unable to. To refuse it was to welcome a perjury snare. To acknowledge it was to admit to a felony. He remained there, the quiet extending, convicting him more than any response could. You observe, Trump stated to the crowd. He cannot reply. The telephone logs do not deceive. The time markers do not deceive. For 8 years, you informed everyone I was the safety danger, Trump stated. You stated I could not be relied on with the atomic keys. You stated I was infiltrated. However, looking at this chart, Trump stated, motioning to the mesh of releases, it appears the actual safety danger was seated in the chairman's seat. You leaked. You deceived. And you were discovered. Trump pivoted back to the stand. But releases are terrible, he stated. Inventing proof in a formal impeachment session, that is inferior. That is swindling. Let us discuss the satire. Donald Trump straightened the sheets on his stand. The mood in the East Room had moved from astonishment to a bleak captivation. The journalists who for years had regarded Adam Schiff as a supreme cleric of verity were now observing him be stripped of rank live. We have viewed the falsehoods, Trump stated. We have viewed the releases. But now let us discuss the drama. He clicked the controller. The mesh of call logs disappeared. September 26, 2019, Trump declared. The House Intelligence Committee held an impeachment session. Millions of individuals were viewing. You recall this, do you not, Adam? Trump asked. You chose to recite the record of my conversation with President Zelensky, or what you claimed was the record. The monitor divided again. On the left side was the real formal record of the call issued by the White House. On the right side was a film of Adam Schiff, sitting in the chairman's spot, looking somber and significant. Let us hear what you informed the American populace. I said, Trump stated, he hit start. Video Schiff gazed into the lens and started to recite with theatrical style. I possess a request I desire from you, however, and I am going to state this only 7 times, so you better hear well. I desire you to invent filth on my political rival, understand? Piles of it on this and on that. Trump halted the clip. Invent filth, Trump repeated the wording. 7 times. He pivoted to the record on the left portion of the display. I am gazing at the record, Adam. I do not view those terms. I do not view invent filth. I do not view hear well. I do not view 7 times. You invented them, Trump stated, his tone level. You sat in a legislative session with the emblem of the United States behind you. You recited a made-up screenplay that you penned. You placed terms in the maw of the President of the United States that were never uttered. Schiff moved ahead, his visage red. Mr. President, as I declared at the moment, that was a satire. It was a description of the core of your illicit request. It was intended to communicate the seriousness. Satire, Trump cut in, doubtingly. You are the head of the intelligence panel directing an impeachment probe. It is not a comedy sketch show. It is a judicial process. Trump withdrew a note from his jacket. You claim it was satire. Let us see if the viewers understood the jest. 63%, Trump read out. That is the ratio of people surveyed who thought those were my real terms, because you did not state, "Here is a jest." You stated the core of what the president conveys is this: "You fooled them," Trump stated. "You deceived them. You manufactured proof in a formal session to make me appear like a gang leader, because the real record was not terrible enough for you." That is not supervision, Trump stated, aiming a digit at Schiff. That is swindling. You possess judicial safety for what you speak in Congress, Trump admitted. The speech or debate rule guards you. You can deceive on the floor of the House and not go to prison. But it does not guard your name. It demonstrates you are ready to construct reality to obtain what you desire. Schiff remained quiet. The argument of satire had forever been frail. But viewing the false speech played beside the actual script made it appear pitiful. It appeared like what it was, a trick that failed. "But you did not merely invent the call," Trump stated, proceeding. "You also invented how the entire event commenced. Let us discuss the informant." The display altered once more. A fresh chronology materialized. This one centered on August and September of 2019. The impeachment commenced due to an informant grievance, Trump stated. "We were informed this was a courageous, separate loyalist who witnessed something incorrect and advanced. And you," Trump stated, looking at Schiff, "you went on television, Morning Joe, September 17th. You were queried directly if you had talked to the informant." Trump ran the snippet. Sam Stein asks, "Have you heard from the informant?" Adam Schiff answers, "We have not spoken directly with the informant." "We have not spoken directly," Trump said again. Lucid response. Final. He clicked the controller. "Now let us examine the guest registers for your bureau." A file materialized. It was a register from the House Intelligence Committee's guarded areas. August 12, 2019. Trump read out, 1 month prior to the grievance being submitted. The informant phones your staff head. Call endures 43 minutes. August 14, 2019. Trump continued. A face-to-face gathering at your Capitol Hill suite. The informant gathers with your chief assistants. August 28, 2019, Trump stated. A subsequent gathering. Your team assists him to locate an attorney. They assist him to compose the grievance. You did not merely talk to him, Adam, Trump stated. You trained him. You understood precisely who he was. You understood precisely what he was going to state because your squad helped him pen it. And then, Trump stated, motioning to the film snippet still paused on the display. You went on broadcast and stared the American citizens in the face and stated, "We have not spoken." That is a falsehood, Trump declared. A direct, checkable falsehood regarding the beginnings of an impeachment. You were not the arbiter, Adam, Trump stated. You were the designer. You constructed the snare. You lured the barb. And then you feigned you were merely an unbiased watcher when it triggered. That is cooperation, Trump stated, and concealing it is deceit. Schiff's lips parted to object. He wanted to clarify the variance between we signifying the panel and we signifying himself individually. But he halted. He understood how it would appear. He understood that dividing strands regarding the meaning of spoken with was precisely what a culpable person did. You cooperated with the charger, Trump recapped. You deceived about the cooperation. And you utilized the sham procedure to attempt to reverse a vote. But discussing votes, Trump stated, his tone dimming, let us discuss the major one. Let us discuss 2020. Let us discuss the portable computer, and let us discuss the 51 agents. The atmosphere in the chamber became weightier. Everyone realized This was the concluding strike. The Russia inquiry was passed. Impeachment was passed. But the Hunter Biden computer tale was the injury that was still raw. That was the falsehood that might have truly altered history. "You adore discussing Russian fake news, Adam," Trump stated. "It is your preferred term. But in October 2020, you did not merely discuss it. You invented it." Trump clicked the controller. The display went dark. "This," Trump stated, "is the decisive proof." The East Room was sufficiently hushed to detect the drone of the storage disks energizing the monitors. Donald Trump remained at the stand. His look moved from the forceful attorney to something softer, yet more perilous. He appeared like a male grasping the last fragment of a riddle that would alter the image totally. "We have discussed Russia," Trump stated. "We have discussed Ukraine. We have discussed the releases. But there is one additional falsehood," he went on. "One that did not merely tarnish a president. It rescued a nominee. It shifted a vote." He hit the controller. The monitor went dark for a theatrical moment, then sparked to action with a fresh file. October 2000. Trump arranged the view. 3 weeks prior to the presidential vote, the New York Post prints an article regarding a computer owned by Hunter Biden. Messages, pictures, proof of overseas commerce trades. "And you, Adam," Trump stated, turning to Schiff, "you knew precisely what to act. You went to your strategy guide. You screamed Russia." This is a secret meeting record from October 14, 2020, the day the article revealed. The FBI updated the Gang of Eight. You were present. The file on the display was enlarged. Subject: Hunter Biden Computer Foreign Sway Review. Finding: the machine has been verified. Lab review confirms the information is legitimate. Bureau has located no intelligence suggesting the computer is component of a Russian fake news drive. The FBI informed you it was real, Trump stated, his voice solid. They informed you it was not Russia. They informed you it was not a breach. They informed you it was genuine. Trump clicked the controller. 2 days afterward, October 16, 2000. You went on CNN alongside Wolf Blitzer. The film ran. There was Schiff appearing serious and commanding. "Wolf, we understand that this entire stain on Joe Biden originates from the Kremlin. Plainly, the beginnings of this entire stain are from the Kremlin. And the president is only too glad to possess Kremlin aid." "From the Kremlin," Trump said again. You sat there realizing the FBI had just informed you it was not the Kremlin, and you deceived the American citizens 3 weeks prior to a vote. But you did not merely deceive, Trump stated. You arranged a concealment. He clicked the controller once more. A fresh file materialized. It was not a state note. It was a message thread. "We demanded these," Trump stated. "Messages from your panel team." October 17, 2020. Trump read out, "From your staff head to past CIA head John Brennan and James Clapper. Subject: pressing requirement for missive on computer tale." Trump read the core of the message loudly. "Sirs, the chairman believes it is vital to present this tale as a Russian data mission before the argument. We require a declaration from high spy officials to offer the press an angle." Trump glanced upward. "You penned the missive, Adam," Trump stated. "The celebrated missive of 51 agents. The missive that stated the computer possessed all the vintage signs of Russian fake news. You arranged it. Your team composed the discussion items. You obtained 51 past officials to autograph their names to a falsehood that you realized was a falsehood, because you had viewed the FBI report. And observe what occurred, Trump stated. He displayed a collection of banners, Twitter blocking the New York Post, Facebook stifling the tale, Joe Biden on the argument stage quoting the missive to reject the computer. You suppressed the reality, Trump stated. You utilized your security access to fool the press and the digital firms into muting a valid news item. That is not supervision, Trump stated. That is not politics. That is voting meddling. You fixed the data battle, Trump stated, walking to the rim of the platform. You understood the computer was real. The FBI informed you, but you resolved the American citizens were not permitted to know that. So you invented a sham missive from sham prose to back a sham storyline. Schiff stared at the ground. The missive of 51 had been his genius move in 2020. The guard that defended Biden. Seeing the inner messages on a 10-foot monitor, the production process of deceit revealed, peeled away the gloss of loyalty. It was not national safety. It was a political mission. You swindled, Trump stated simply. You swindled the electors. You swindled history. And you utilized the intelligence panel to perform it. Trump walked back to the stand and set his palms on either flank of it. He appeared drained, not bodily but within his soul. It was as if the burden of 8 years of battling these falsehoods had finally risen. We are finished with the panels, Trump stated. Switch them off. The monitors went dark. The chamber was mute. Trump gazed at Adam Schiff. I possess one final query, Trump stated. The obscurity of the monitor appeared to make the room tinier, more personal. The display was finished. Now there was only the judgment. Donald Trump remained at the stand, stripping away the flair, leaving only the frigid, solid reality of the proof he had just displayed. Adam Schiff remained in the front row. He was a lonely shape in an ocean of journalists who were no longer gazing at him with respect, but with the medical removal of morticians observing a corpse. We have examined the history, Trump stated, his tone soft. We have viewed the Russia meetings. We have viewed the Ukraine record. We have viewed the release registers. We have viewed the computer messages. He bent forward, looking straight into Schiff's optics. So, Senator Schiff, I desire to ask you the query you have been asking me for 8 years. Trump stopped. He allowed the quiet to extend until it was awkward, until the sole noise in the chamber was the click of a lone lens. How many instances, Trump inquired, how many instances did you deceive the American citizens? Schiff parted his lips, but zero emerged. Was it the 227 instances you asserted you viewed proof of plotting when the FBI informed you there was zero? Trump asked. Was it the 43 instances you released secret mysteries to the New York Times and CNN, then went on broadcast to validate your personal releases? Was it when you invented a sham record of my conversation with a foreign chief and read it into the legislative archive as truth? Was it when you cooperated with the informant and then informed the nation you had never talked to him? Was it when you understood the Hunter Biden computer was real, but you arranged 51 agents to label it Russian fake news so you could secure a vote? Trump's vocals climbed with each query. It was a peak of responsibility. How many instances, Adam? Trump insisted. How many instances did you utilize your security access as an arm? How many instances did you gaze into a lens and mislead the folks who provide your wage? You spent 8 years labeling me a deceiver, Trump stated. You labeled me a defector. You charged me 2 times. You ripped this nation asunder. And the entire duration, Trump stated, motioning to the vacant monitors. The entire duration, it was you. You were the one grasping the decisive proof. You were the one concealing the reality. You were the fake news engine. The chamber was iced. 78 million people viewing at their residences held their respiration. They awaited the counter-argument. They awaited the expert arguer, the Harvard attorney, the accuser to say something, anything to guard himself. But Adam Schiff said zero. He remained there wan and tiny. The heaviness of the files, the days, the autographs, the call registers, it crushed down on him. There was no deflection that could outlast the proofs. There was no background that could clarify away the autographs on the meeting registers. Trump observed him for a lengthy instant, then he moved his cranium. "You do not possess a reply," Trump stated quietly, "because the reply is thousands. You deceived so many instances you forgot what the reality appeared like." Trump collected his sheets. "The American citizens merited superior," Trump stated. "They merited the reality. They merited an intelligence panel that defended them, not one that manipulated them." Rather, Trump stated, looking at Schiff with conclusion, "They received you. This media gathering is finished." Trump pivoted and strolled out of the East Room. He did not glance behind. The trance shattered. The chamber burst into disorder. Journalists leaped to their feet, yelling queries, not at the vacant stand, but at the male standing in the front row. "Senator, did you release the Flynn conversation? Senator, why did you autograph the missive? Senator, is that your autograph on the meeting register?" Adam Schiff did not reply. He was unable to. He snatched his tablet, turned on his boot, and shoved his path toward the flank departure. His helpers attempted to shape a moving triangle blocking the lenses, but the mob was too dense. "Senator, Senator." He kept his skull lowered, eyes locked on the rug. He was fleeing the location of his personal ruin. The assured arrival of an hour prior was a far remembrance. He appeared like a male attempting to outpace a giant wave. As he shoved through the twin portals escaping into the corridor, the picture was seized by 100 lenses. Adam Schiff, the male who insisted on the reality, sprinting away from it. Inside minutes, the web detonated. The snippet of how many instances struck 93 million sites in the initial hour. The tag "Schiff lied" ranked #1 worldwide. The proofs, the sharp pictures of the meeting registers and messages, were retrieved millions of times. They were scattered across every site. For 8 years, Adam Schiff had been the predator. But in 90 minutes, with nothing but a beamer and a pile of revealed paper, Donald Trump had transformed him into the prey. The storyline had broken. The proofs were released, and there was no returning the mysteries into the container. The media gathering ceased at 3:43 in the afternoon. By 4 o'clock, the political profession of Adam Schiff was being dissected on every monitor in America. Donald Trump had exited the East Room, leaving behind more than merely a dazed quiet. He had left a virtual hole. The Schiff file, the 847-page collection of every meeting, release, and falsehood, was put onto the White House site. The instant Trump departed the stand, the host computer failed 3 times in the initial 20 minutes from the volume. On Wire News, the response was a blend of startle and panic. Fox News was in a triumph run showing the adjacent snippets of Schiff's satire session beside the real record. But the true ruin was occurring on the channels that had elevated Schiff. On CNN, the presenters appeared bomb-struck. They had scheduled Schiff hundreds of instances. They had broadcast his assertions of explicit proof without query. Now, they were gazing at the meeting registers with his autograph on them. These were files that demonstrated he realized there was no proof the entire duration. It is difficult to align a CNN law expert, confessed while staring at the file on the display. His autograph is right there. The meeting states no proof. The following day, he appeared on our broadcast and stated he saw proof. That is an issue. MSNBC attempted to turn. This is a militarization of secrecy, one presenter claimed. Trump is selecting files. But the visitor, a past federal attorney, moved his head. The files are revealed. They are open archive now. You cannot select an autograph on a register. He was in the chamber. He realized, and he deceived. That is not politics. That is evidence. By the following morning, the barrier burst. 17 conduct grievances were lodged with the Senate Ethics Committee before midday. They were not merely from Republicans. Monitor groups that typically aimed at Trump were lodging against Schiff, noting the severe misuse of security access. The Department of Justice declared a recheck of the leak inquiry. The telephone logs Trump had displayed, the 43 calls to journalists followed by secret releases, were a guide for indictment. The Schiff regulations of safety did not pertain to felonies done on a mobile, but the most savage hit came from his own peers in the Senate. The atmosphere was poisonous. Senators detest being shamed, and Schiff had just shamed the whole body. He had utilized the Intelligence Committee, the one panel that depends on total faith, as a biased plaything. A motion was presented to expel Schiff from the Intelligence Committee. Typically, these ballots divide down party tracks. Not this occasion. The ballot was 67 to 33. 17 Democrats crossed the walkway to ballot against him. It was a shocking scolding. When your personal party ballots to peel you of your panel role, you are deceased walking. They were not defending him any longer. They were slicing him free to rescue themselves. The voting in California verified the crash. Schiff's favor score dived from 58% to 29% in a single week. A 29-point wreck. It was the quickest decline in the record of current surveying. The Washington Post, compelling itself to report the tale it had helped generate, printed a huge, engaging piece. The Schiff chronology. It permitted viewers to scroll through all 227 falsehoods, pairing the TV snippets to the meeting files. It was the most viewed piece of the year. Schiff went into concealment. He voided his public forums. He voided his donor events. He denied all chat requests save for one catastrophic showing on MSNBC where he stumbled through non-replies until even the amiable presenter had to switch to ads. The untouchable senator, the titan of the opposition, had been diminished to a warning story. He was toxic. Publishing contracts were voided. Talking bureaus released him. The letter of 51 agents started releasing claims stating they were deceived by Schiff's team. The rodents were escaping the boat, and Adam Schiff was abandoned alone at the wheel. 6 months following the media gathering, Adam Schiff stood at a stand in a hotel hall in Los Angeles. The chamber was partially vacant. There were no applauding masses. There was no opposition vigor. Just a weary-appearing male in a garment that appeared a measure too large. After much thought, Schiff read from a readied text, his tone missing its former dramatic thunder. "And discussion with my kin, I have resolved not to pursue another term to the United States Senate." He did not note the media gathering. He did not note the files. He spoke about fresh sections and handing over the light. But everyone realized the reality. He was resigning because he was going to fail. Inner surveying displayed him failing the Democratic initial vote by 38 points. A fresh face, Katie Porter, had started a drive with a basic motto: truth matters. Her commercials were merely 30-second snippets of Trump's media gathering. She did not have to utter a term. Schiff had ruined himself. Schiff completed his address, accepted no queries, and strolled off the platform. It was a hushed, miserable conclusion to a profession that had devoured the national focus for a decade. 1 year afterward, Donald Trump sat on the terrace at Mar-a-Lago. The Florida star reflected off the sea behind him. A chronicler was questioning him for a life story. "Mr. President," the chronicler asked, looking back on that media gathering, "do you possess any sorrows about what you performed to Adam Schiff?" Trump grinned. It was not a boastful grin. It was the grin of a male who had corrected the account. "I did not perform anything to him," Trump stated, taking a swallow of diet soda. "I merely switched on the lamps." "He ruined himself," Trump went on. "He spent 8 years constructing a falsehood. He believed because the reality was secret, he was secure. He believed he could state whatever he desired, and nobody could verify his task. He neglected that the president has the supreme authority to reveal." "Do you feel proven right?" the chronicler asked. "The nation is proven right," Trump fixed. For 8 years, they were informed their president was a defector. They were deceived by the people expected to guard them. The revelation repaired that. It demonstrated to them who the actual deceivers were. "What is the moral?" the chronicler asked. Trump bent forward. "The proofs do not lie," Trump stated. "That is the moral. You can deflect. You can perform. You can possess the press on your flank. But if the files state no proof, and you state explicit proof, eventually you are going to get captured." Schiff believed he was the clever one, Trump stated. He believed he was the accuser. But he neglected the primary regulation of accusation. Never ask a query if you do not know what the proof displays. "I knew what the proof displayed," Trump stated, rapping the desk, "because I possessed the proofs." The heritage of Adam Schiff was solidified. He was not recalled as the male who battled Trump. He was recalled as the male who deceived 227 times. He became an action word in Washington. To Schiff, someone meant to deceive about secret info until you got captured. Congress approved the Schiff Accountability Law. It required that members autograph a sworn statement when discussing secret meetings. The intelligence group revamped its reporting benchmarks. And every time a public servant went on broadcast and asserted to possess hidden proof, the American citizens recalled the East Room. They recalled the divided monitors. They recalled the quiet when the query was asked regarding how many instances. And they realized finally that the reply was too many. Fairness had reached, not with the explosion, but with a folder. The conclusion.